I'm here to help women reset and rewild, to embrace and prioritize the pauses in order to reclaim their peace and power. I'm Dr. Michelle Peris, director of the Poppy Clinic and founder and CEO of the Wild Collective. As a disruptor, naturopathic doctor, wife, and mama, I've created a global movement and sacred space for women to rise together. Here, you'll break through limitations, romanticize your life, and unlock the magic of your divine feminine power. My life's work is rooted in community, lifting women into their most powerful, authentic selves, while empowering clinicians to elevate their practices with a transformational, community-driven model. I lead a thriving, passion-fueled business and naturopathic practice brimming with abundance, where I can guide women to invigorate their lives through sisterhood and elevate healthcare with a cutting-edge transformational approach. I've witnessed firsthand in my practice how this model sparks consistent health transformation, creates flourishing communities, and brings profitable success. You can have it all, a life filled with abundance, contagious joy, and untethered potential. So pull up a seat. It's time to pour into yourself and tap into your intuition and design a life that's wild, free, and uniquely yours. And I'm going to show you how. This is Wild Medicine. All right, welcome back to another episode of Wild Medicine. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Peris, and this week's episode is all about connection and community. Probably my most favorite subject to cover. I have struggled, and that's why I continue to care. This is really about the loneliness epidemic, especially post-COVID, and why women need sisterhood to thrive, community, connection, however you land with that word. But we need each other to not only survive, but to thrive in life. And I am more certain of that with every circle I get to sit in and supporting women in this capacity, because I know how powerful it is as a tool for and as a vehicle for healing, for transformation, for support, for accountability to actually get what we say that we want. We want to achieve greater health. We want to heal. We want to transform. We want to do the brave things, start the new job, go out on our own, find the, meaningful partnership. All of that is achieved a lot more effectively, easily, and in a more aligned capacity. I don't even know if that's the right word, but succinct, in a more organized fashion, in a more beautiful way. There we go. It just is, it is the secret sauce for sure. When we have these sacred opportunities for connection, we really do get nervous system regulation. We start to feel safe. That I am certain of. I actually run a wild circle in a very intentional way, in which I'm working with your nervous system so that you leave better off than when you came in. All of it was very intentionally built in a way that would help you take that wisdom and information and carry it forward into other areas of your life, which I see women do day in and day out. The amount of women from Wild Collective created their own communities, created their own very intentional businesses, largely constructed on the foundation of needing community, is so inspiring to me. Like, that is like the super, super cool side effect of hanging out in a wild circle. It's very, very cool. But we really do need safety to thrive, and safety can definitely be harmed in community, and it can be healed in safe, in like-minded, intentional community, right? So I think that's the thing I really want to speak to today, is that no matter where you land on the subject, and we've had lots of women in Wild Collective said, I have great social connection. Like, I'm not sure why I would join. And we have those who have like, belongingness has never felt like something that's come natural to me. I feel sisterhood has been historically unsafe or unfulfilling. Why would I join? I really think we do a very good job of providing a beautiful anchor for every and all women that we cross paths with, because of the intentionality behind how we run the Wild Collective. So the truth of the matter is that there's a distinction between social isolation and loneliness. And you can feel lonely even though your calendar is full, even though you have a lot going on. You can still have this internal perception of feeling very lonely. Isolation is truly being isolated from other individuals. Loneliness can happen amongst an abundance of people. and a very full schedule, even a full social schedule. And this was something I think was confusing to me as a young woman, because I always fit in. I always had friends. I always found myself in the popular social circle because I cared about those things, which is so silly, but I did. And now knowing myself better, I just know how like nerdy at heart I am. And I was probably just in the wrong social circles, but I was always amongst people, and I felt, this is very dramatic language, but I felt devastatingly lonely. But I did. I really did. I remember just like craving, I don't know, anything. My best friends growing up were, in most cases, frenemies at best. There was always this like competitive, combative nature to our relating, and how we carried ourselves in the world. And I just didn't like it. And I honestly, I thankfully had a great sister who I felt very connected to, but that's a different relationship. I really didn't feel true safety in relationships until I went to naturopathic medicine. And I had safe friendships. Like I had friendships that were great. I don't ever want to undermine those like wonderful friendships, because that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to like a collective belonging. And I didn't really feel that. And I'm very lucky I went to school for a really long time, because I got to fail forward. I got to get it wrong all the way to getting it very, very right. And when I went to naturopathic medicine, it was like this beautiful experience of belongingness. And I remember feeling like unstoppable, like anything was possible. It was this internal motivating propensity towards this like brave belief that anything was possible. Like I really felt differently about myself and the world around me, and what I could achieve. I don't know why, but that was just like my natural reaction to belongingness. And so that was put in my back pocket, and that was like, that planted a seed. And then by the time I found myself in naturopathic medicine, I felt this really huge calling, especially 7 years into clinical practice, to do healthcare entirely differently. And it wouldn't have been without my own experience of knowing what loneliness feels like, and then knowing what belongingness feels like, and having the duality of that, the polarity of that, made me largely motivated, and still largely motivated to this day, to be an agent of change for that. That's what came. But that's true. That is true. And I've learned this, and I have this healthy perspective, if you will, because I've worked with a lot of clinicians, and I know that this is in many ways very unique to me. And I have this insane drive and motivation to make sure that every woman knows how powerful she is, and how much possibility is available to her when she has connection. It's not the easy path. That's why I laugh, because most clinicians quit. Most clinicians don't end up doing a lot of group health, because it is hard, because you're going up against a narrative, especially in the healthcare space, where most things are done one-on-one, and people don't know why they would join a health group. Like, they really don't understand. And fair, right? We've got very busy lives. And so it's going to take someone who is almost on the side of insane to want it so badly, to get it to run against the narratives that drive people to stay the same and safe. And so I do sometimes feel like a lone wolf. I'm not alone. There's wild collective facilitators around the world still, and that's awesome. I feel so grateful, because we are all wired very similarly, and we have this huge propensity and drive and desire to do health differently, because we know, everyone knows, every wild collective facilitator, anyone who's ever launched a group program, they know the power of belongingness and community. It is like nothing else out there in terms of what patients can achieve, the results, the accountability, the sustainability, the transformations. They're way more consistent. Everyone knows that. That's not a secret to us. Why most people quit is that to articulate to people why they would do this is very challenging. So we all know the power of it. It's just, are you willing to withstand the pressure or the resistance of people not understanding that? And so I ruthlessly keep going, even though some days I'm like, am I crazy? Sometimes I feel crazy, but this motivation drives, it runs really deep. And I do care that women have this kind of social connection. And as women of the wild have described it, this anchor for this type of support and accountability and health access that isn't otherwise accessible. And I feel incredibly grateful to provide that and to co-create it, because it's a co-created experience for sure. Is bad math messing with your launch? I see you. If you are really excited about the group program that you have or the education program that you have online, and you know that it would really benefit so many people to have this information, but you don't know what to price it, you don't even know how to approach it, and you do not want to just do what everyone else is doing, which is looking at how everyone else is charging for their programs and just doing the same. That's really ineffective logic. It is also not ensuring that you're being paid appropriately for your efforts and hard work. Being someone who has been launching group programs for the last 8 years, I have figured out the framework and the calculation pathway to properly charge for your group program or online program. So if you head over to the show notes and click the link, it will take you over to my group health program calculator, which can help you start to figure out your monthly reoccurring revenue that you would need to make this a viable option for yourself, but also how to price it in a strategic and advantageous way for your greater community so that you can make the meaningful impact that you desire, but that it is a win-win situation. No more bad math messing with your magic. The world needs clinicians and coaches to be doing innovative, viable solutions to improve healthcare, and this can be a very effective way for you to be able to do that. So go check out my group health calculator and start plugging away and getting those numbers so that you can have a launch that is effective, scalable, really exciting, and successful. Good luck. This episode is a love letter to anyone out there who longs for true connection, to know that there is a solution out there, and to know that you can in fact leverage this as a way to propel you forward in your own health and your own life. So the hidden loneliness of the modern woman. So loneliness is definitely on the rise, and statistically, I haven't even really looked at what it's been since post-COVID, but I know it's worse. It was bad before, it's worse. And loneliness and social isolation is as harmful to our health as smoking 15 cigarettes per day or drinking 6 alcoholic beverages. And like I'm known to say, like you would be calling your friend who is drinking 6 glasses of wine every day and you'd be like, it's possible you have a problem. Yet we're not really checking on our friends. We're not really checking on how their social capital is flowing or not. We just kind of assume. And it really is a huge predictor of health. It is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. It is isolation and loneliness is the number one all-cause mortality. So more than smoking or drinking or poor dietary choices, social isolation is going to do a lot more harm to you. And this is why this needs to be a priority. And this is why part of the reason why I ruthlessly fight this fight is that I think there's nothing as protective as a good, solid community. And it is really easy, just like the arts in high school, and everyone drops the arts first. Community is dropped first. If there's, work and extracurriculars and you've got kids and you've got all the things, the first thing we drop is our social connection. And yet it's one of the most protective measures in terms of lifespan that we have. Our health at 80 is determined by our relationships at the age of 50. So connection is a very, very strong predictor of longevity and health over decades. And this is why it's a foundational, fundamental piece. And it's internally wired in all of us to crave and have belongingness and connection. It is a primal human need, and it's very difficult to move beyond that when we don't have that. I can tell you I lived it for a very long time where it felt very stressful. And the perception is, I'm sure even people would have been like, I didn't realize you were so lonely. Like that would probably be true because I always had people to hang out with. I was never really alone, but I was lonely for sure, unfulfilled. Loneliness increases your risk of anxiety, depression, heart disease. It can have poor cancer outcomes if you don't have social connection. It is a really, really powerful antidote to a lot of health concerns that we face in modern day. You might be very successful. And I would say there's a lot of women who share this with me. Like they have achieved all the things that they were after. These women are ambitious. They are high achievers. They find ways to make things happen. They get what they want. And they get to all of those places, but they truly think like, is this it? They're They feel alone, they feel unfulfilled and emotionally isolated. If you're there, you're not alone, because all the women in Wild Collective, in some capacity, I shouldn't say all, but many of the women in Wild Collective describe this phenomenon, myself included. Why aren't we talking about it? It's inconvenient. It's going to require change. And that's annoying for some of us, most of us, especially high achievers, where it's like, what do you mean I have to build this in? Yes. And what is the return on investment, right? Like longer life, like we tend to live 8 years longer with social connection. Fear of judgment. A lot of women will tell me about how difficult they find adult female friendships. Like, where do you meet them? After high school, where, there isn't this proximity or doing similar things. Where do you meet people? And so this can be really, really difficult for a lot of adults, and it's very distressing, because just like dating is like, do you want a friendship app? Like, what do you do? Right? If you don't have the social connections that you had when you were younger. Wounding from past friendships, this is something I definitely held on to. And even now when I tell my story, I even forget it was a part of my story, because I've moved so much beyond it. But it is a thing. It can prevent us from engaging in new friendships. If friendships have not been safe in the past, you're going to be very hesitant to engage in that in the future. Mean girl culture is the thing. And in professional settings, from what I'm told, it can be really, really toxic and bad. And so that primes our brain that these are things we should avoid and not engage in, because it's very distressing, and our nervous system's already hijacked with the world that we exist in, to potentially put ourselves in vulnerable situations where we would experience social rejection. And there's a lot of physiological stress that is a consequence of that. We are more likely to avoid. And for many women, we are too busy caring for everyone else's needs, right? Like I said, it's a very easy thing, like the arts, to be a quick thing to drop. It's like, does it matter that much? Yes. Your health literally depends on it. But the perception in the moment it's just easier if I just sacrifice the dinner or sacrifice the monthly meeting and just do Johnny's soccer practice or whatever, right? Like, we're so quick to self-betrayal as a means to not let anyone else down. And we all know the analogy, yet it remains an analogy because we're not the best at listening to it. But you can't pour from an empty cup. If you put on your oxygen mask first, and if you knew how fundamentally important community and social connection was, you would understand it was like the oxygen mask, and you need to go anchor in and fill your cup so that you can go out into the world and meaningfully inspire others, motivate others, and accomplish all the things you're after. And it's a lot more fruitful. I think we're forgetting the beauty of life. And when we abandon these parts of ourselves that are fundamentally and primally important to us, the world becomes gray. It's just black and white. It's there's nothing pretty about it. It's just you're going through the motions. You're in the hamster wheel of life, and you're paddling on, and you're forgetting that it was all supposed to be more beautiful than this. It just, full stop. It just is. We're missing the beauty. And when you start to fully understand this, because it may be hard for you to conceptualize, when you start to either go to bed and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for my life, or wake up and be like, I can't believe I was gifted another day, then you've arrived. It's this beautiful moment where you're like, oh, you're in the pulse of your life. You're not just in the hamster wheel existing. You are in the beauty of your life. You are able to breathe it in and have this capacity. And it's really hard when you're burnt out, or you're in overdrive, or you're overachieving and you're chasing. It's very hard to have the capacity to see this. If you don't even understand what I'm saying, I see you in that. I get that. This is quite a few years in for me where I actually get what I'm saying, not intellectualizing, but in fully embodying. When I wake up in the mornings, most mornings, a human, obviously, I am so grateful. Oh my gosh, what sort of exciting surprises are coming my way today? I get to go down and kiss my kids and, make them food and move my body, exercise every morning, and spend some time in quiet prayer, and go and work with the best patients and sit in wild circles at night. I have the best life. I have the best life. So it's nothing changed. In the last 5 years, not that much has changed. Just my perspective has shifted immensely. And I know fundamentally it has so much to do with the work that we do in Wild Collective. There's just the collective benefits of being in a like-minded, high vibe community. There's just nothing like it. At the end of every wild circle, I literally think, how is this my job? I literally created the greatest job on the planet for me. I love it. I love it. And it doesn't matter the size of the community or who shows up that day. I freaking love it. I feel so, so blessed to have something like that. Just interesting. I just had this thought, like what we choose to spend our money on. It's so funny, isn't it? Like we will dye our hair, we'll buy all the expensive organic food. I love it, not dogging that. We'll buy expensive jeans. We will spend money on a lot of things, but the amount of negotiating that needs to be done in our own mind to invest in something like this when it fills your cup in that capacity is really hard to reconcile. But I hear women's stories all the time, and I get like money can be tight. I'm not trying to downplay. Like I understand truly. And it is interesting then what we choose to spend our money on. Like we should be asking ourselves better questions like what's the return on investment? Like jeans are jeans. And let's face it, they make good jeans at Zara for very affordable. So like, isn't your resources best directed somewhere else? And here's the thing, even with organic food, if you can't be in the pulse of your life and enjoy the nutrition, is it really benefiting you? I don't know. I think I could make some strong arguments for this, honestly. Anyways, your nervous system needs connection to heal. And I would say that has been one of the most powerful vehicles for my healing in the last few years, is how much room for healing there was when I was in community with other like-minded women. It was very, very healing. And I didn't lean on my wild collective for my emotional needs, because that wouldn't be very good leadership, but just being there. And I think this is what people don't understand, is they think they have to like share something vulnerable to get something from it. That's not how it works. By being there, by being witness to really, really deep conversations and emotional responses and all this beautiful, powerful things that happen in conversation and connection with others, there's so much healing in that. You can be a witness and be growing immensely. So sometimes we overcomplicate it and we weave this whole story about what it has to be, and it's not that at all. We are biologically wired for co-regulation. We have mirror neurons where we are like literally feeding off each other. And so this is a huge capacity for healing. This is what allows for us to feel safe when we're in co-regulation, when we can create safe environments, safe communities. We literally thrive because our nervous system can get out of fight or flight for a hot moment and just be calm. Like anything, we have to flex muscles enough to start leveraging them as normalcies in our life. And so if you're always in fight or flight, if you're always striving and producing and stressed, you can't regulate yourself. It's impossible. You haven't flexed that muscle. Sometimes we need to rely on co-regulation, on other people creating safety so that we can start to experience it internally, so that we can start to tap into that for ourselves. And that's a very valuable tool for healing, because again, like I said, we're not regulating our own nervous system when our nervous system has been running a certain way for so long. You need support, and it gets to be a lot easier than what that sounds like. Safety, calm, and healing happen in relationship, not isolation. All of those accelerate and increase in isolation. And the parts of our brain that are wired for producing, like being problem solving, it is in direct conflict with our communal part of our brain. So if we're always trying to solve problems, if we're always trying to like do things in isolation, we literally can't shut on the part of ourselves that connects. So if this is why this feels foreign, it's because you've flexed your mind and trained your mind to work in a certain fashion. And so you're going to need the benefit of co-regulation start to rewire a new way, right? In chronic loneliness, your nervous system is stuck in fight, freeze, or fawn, which we see all the time. It's just like the modern state of the world. And because truly there's two problems. One is that we haven't prioritized social connection the way we once used to, because we used to be utterly reliant on it. And we had a lot more proximity where it was forced upon us. But we now also have a faulty social connection through social media and all those other means. So we feel connected even though we're not meaningfully connected. And so we tend to lie to ourselves about how connected we actually feel. And then we let our nervous system get hijacked by all the things. Life, speaking of North America, is already so imbalanced that our nervous system's already running a different wiring. So it's very, very difficult to have perspective when you're alone. When women sit together, I can tell you I see this all the time, and feel seen and validated in their experience without anyone needing to fix anything. There is this beautiful exhale that happens. There's this beautiful like calm that gets engaged within them that they get to carry forward in other aspects of their life. That's the beautiful thing. What I think I really want you to understand, whether you join Wild Collective or not, and of course I would love for you to, and of course I think you should, but doesn't matter. Sacred sisterhood, like connection and community. This isn't a luxury. This is a lifeline. It's something that needs to be a priority, and not just something we talk about or post a meme about. It's something we actually do. It's actually something we make time for. What I learned early in motherhood is that when I did group fitness and I had monthly dinners with 2 other naturopathic doctors, those things were very, very helpful for me in early motherhood. I really struggled. I felt alone. I worked hard. I have a wonderful family. I have a wonderful husband. It's different. But those monthly dinners, those weekly group workouts, man, I lived for that. It filled my cup. Even at the workouts, is the crazy part. We didn't really talk to each other. It's not like there was like this deepened social connection that was happening, but I felt a part of something. It was highly, highly motivating. And I was in incredible shape at that point because I just loved going. It was so, so motivating and healing for me, even though I didn't fully understand it. And so if it's not something that you've historically felt safe about, this is a good opportunity to start to reframe this and really start to build it in. I'll say it a lot, and it's not coming from me. Someone told it to me, but show me your schedule and I'll show you your priorities. When you hear information like this, you need to do something about it. You can't just intellectualize and be like, yeah, that sounds great. No, you need to go take a look at your calendar and say, am I building in time for social connection? And if you're not, you need to build it in. It's like oftentimes in the coaching world, people will tell you to like block your vacations first. Block all the things that matter to you first. Make yourself unavailable in the morning so that you can be with your family, right? There are certain boundaries that we get to put in place to build a beautiful life. Building in social connection needs to be part of it. So it needs to be in the calendar. It needs to be there. It needs to be a priority. And your nervous system needs to trust that you're on it, that you're doing something about it, right? You can't just like talk about it. This is the type of social connection we're talking about is not just like surface level. It's like deep, intentional conversations. And there's so many cool ways you can approach this now. We ask very intentional questions for very meaningful discussions in Wild Collective. And I think it's not why people join, because they don't think that part's going to really be that big of a deal, but it's why people stay. And it's why our community has such a high retention, is because once you have that capacity to have deep, meaningful conversations and be so deeply fulfilled by it, you stay. You want more. It's like a drug. It's so deeply satisfying and enjoyable. And that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about like surface level, go for dinner with a bunch of girlfriends where you just jibber jabber, chitty chat about, life things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having deep, meaningful conversations, things that move the needle, that motivate you to take different action, that motivate you to take that bold step, that motivate you to let go or leap, and instead of doing things like gripping and doing things how you always have. It's a place where vulnerability is met with reverence, where there's like this beautiful reverence for what's actually happening. And that real connection is through vulnerable shares. It's through storytelling. Storytelling for me is medicine, because I know how healing it can be for women. I watch it all the time. I am privy. I sit in a wild circle every week. I have for the last 8 years. I feel so blessed and grateful and abundant because of this. And I really understand this at a very, very deep level. This episode is brought to you by the Wild Collective. If you are ready for something innovative, something truly transformational, you are wanting to build a beautiful life and thriving health and vibrant energy, and you're not sure how to build that in, you might want to consider something as incredible as the Wild Collective. The Wild Collective is our women's health initiative. It is a closed community of like-minded individuals. It is where sisterhood meets self-care. There's 10 modules of fundamental women's health, all the evidence-based information that you need, the testing, the handouts, the assessment, how to advocate for yourself in the wellness space. Also, what natural and integrative approaches you can consider for any age and stage in life. And being that it is part of a community, you also get this beautiful experience of meaningful connection, conversations that matter, and truly up-leveling your life. So if you are ready to take on something totally transformative and fun, then please go check us out at the Wild Collective. So that's the-wild-collective.com. Get on the wait list, and we will see you in one of our Wild Circles very soon. Some of the things that are so powerful about a wild circle in particular. Community, if it's curated correctly, is how powerful storytelling is. I said this, but it deserves to be reinforced many times, and I'm sure I will and have on the podcast already. But storytelling is a very, very powerful tool, especially for women. It is a way we learn. It is a way where we derive insight and wisdom. It is a way we transform trauma. It is a way for us to express and experience grief, but also joy and elation and enthusiasm and excitement. Like, it is a very, very, very powerful tool for us. It is a wonderful way to be supported and to stay accountable and to leverage wisdom. Celebration is also something that is really difficult for a lot of women, especially our good girl, people-pleasing, productivity, high-achieving type A'ers. Self-celebration, very difficult. Celebration of any kind, very difficult. And so training and priming our brain for celebration is a very, very healing and important factor. And this is what makes most women unable to have reverence for everything that they've built, is because when they get there, they don't know how to celebrate. I had this really inspiring woman share with me recently. She had done something really major, really big deal for her. And she thought doing the thing was going to just bring all of this elation. And when she did it, she was like, oh no. It's like this daunting fear of like, not again. I don't feel that much different. It's like so disappointing. It's like it's not because the thing isn't very exciting, because it is. It's that we don't know how to celebrate. And that's really, really important. And there is a woman who was instrumental in our community for years and ran our alumni, and she's so good with her social group. They are so good at celebrating. And so you can hear her in a lot of the work that she does celebrate her accomplishments. And that's because she has a capacity for celebration. And that's important, because if you can't, you're just going to miss all the moments of your life. And that's such a colossal waste, because you're the one creating really beautiful things in this world. I've watched women in the Wild Collective take some of the most powerful leaps, run the business of their dreams, order the food that they want on the menu instead of asking for help, feeling safe in their body, setting healthier boundaries, taking stress leaves because they need to rest, leaving partnerships, really healing partnerships. It is the most beautiful. It's been the most rewarding work I've ever done. And I've seen some really cool transformations in my clinical practice. Wild Collective is pretty powerful. It holds a special place in my heart. We help women feel safe in their bodies. That's a pretty amazing thing when it's been very difficult for us to kind of curate that feeling any other way. No longer be afraid to be seen or to take up space. Definitely take bold action. I've always said that contagion that spreads through a wild circle is bravery. When you find your wild circle, women move from disconnection to deep belonging, from numbness to aliveness, from self-doubt to confidence, self-trust, which I think is the most potent and powerful vehicle for health and transformation and a thriving life, burnout to softness, surrender, and energy, shame to shared humanity. It's how we reclaim the divine feminine, which you can go listen to past recordings, is something that for most of us is not a very flexed part of our polarities. We've had a really difficult time in modern day to be in the feminine, because we've been delivered a narrative of how weak it is. And so we wound up more in our masculine and really resentful. And I don't think any happier or more satisfied or more successful. And so I think there's this beautiful growing flex back. It's like a pendulum, but there's a beautiful like divine feminine pendulum swing back into our balance in our own body of like honoring the rest and reprieve and the surrender and the power that has. If you've been feeling the aches of loneliness, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because you're wired for connection and it's not been a priority. And that's not something that you should make yourself bad and wrong for. There are so many reasons why we end up disconnected or lonely. And this is the invitation for you to put some energy and prioritizing into making it happen. And if this is something that is so out of your realm of your comfort zone, or you wouldn't even know where to look, then I am inviting that you join us in the Wild Collective. It is the most powerful tool I've seen to date and has been responsible for the most beautiful transformations. And it's a co-created experience. It's just the most powerful portal back to feeling, to being in your body, to living a beautiful life, to witnessing the beauty. It is the best. It is the best thing And I know how powerful it has been, not only for me, but for women I've served and will continue to be for years to come. I understand that adult friendships can be difficult. And so that's, I think, what feels so great about Wild Collective is that we can offer that to women who are like, I don't know where else I would go. I care about health. I care about my well-being. I want to achieve great things. I need to stay accountable. I desire something different. A Wild Collective meets those needs very proudly. And I think really helps women curate their own beautiful life by their own terms, whatever that definition means to them. And I'm really proud of that. You are not meant to walk this journey alone, this path alone. I've been where you've been, and I built a space just for you so that you have the same connection and belongingness that I've been able to access, as hundreds of women have been able to access in the Wild Collective. It is a really, really powerful and sacred community that I'm very proud of. And I would love any woman who feels pulled to do something similar to join us in the Wild Collective. If this feels like something you would like to do, you can hop over to the show notes and get on the wait list for our Wild Collective launches happening in September. We'll be opening up 3 groups. You can join Wild School. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Dr. Michelle Peris and connect with me personally, and we will find solutions for you until we open up the doors to our next round of circles. We open the doors once a year, just from a maturing energy source of myself, of knowing I can't be constantly launching. It doesn't feel good anymore, but we always have Wild Collectives going, and there is a solution, and you don't have to do it alone. And it's so much better and more beautiful when you don't. And so hopefully this is one of the motivating messages you've heard about connection that inspires you to do this differently and walk a different path and prioritize social connection as one of the most powerful predictors of your health and longevity and your well-being for many years to come. And so that it's not a nice to have, but it is a must have, and it has the same and equal prioritization as everybody else on your list, your work, and everything else that you tend to prioritize a little bit easier. Don't let this be like the arts of high school. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. This is something I talk about a lot and have throughout the years and will continue to do because it's that important in our world. And I know it's important for everyone I serve. So until next week, stay wild. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wild Medicine. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It helps us reach more incredible women just like you. And before you go, quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized advice and care. And if you're ready to take inspired action and dive deeper into your own health journey, please visit us at poppyclinic.com. Let's rewild and reset your health together.